Hey there, friends. Did you watch that debate last night between Trump and Kamala? I thought it was cute the way they made her with a little child table, child podium. Apparently her campaign debated that she would look silly standing at the same size podium as Trump, so they built her a mini podium. So she got to look as big as Trump when you just framed her in the picture. But one thing I noticed about the debate, and you guys probably noticed it as well, did you notice how we're dealing with ABC, which is owned by Disney, very anti-gun, very wacko far left leaning, and these people hate guns. They absolutely hate guns. In every conceivable way, they hate guns. The Second Amendment, when I tell you it was glazed over, it was actually only put in place just to show Kamala's support for guns. Did you notice that? The message was not anti-gun. The message was not, oh, gun violence this and gun violence that. Usually they parrot those same talking points. They didn't do that. Did you notice the absence of that? Again, the inclusion of guns at all was really a positive, almost to show that Kamala supported gun owners. Check this out.
And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
So a couple of points to be made. First of all, her and Tim Walz are gun owners. Well, we kind of knew that already, right? This was not a shocker. It's amazing to me how short people's attention spans are, because this is not news. First of all, Tim Walz, he's got ads of him carrying shotguns for his promotional or campaign ads for years now. This is not new. Also, Kamala came out, at least in 2020, during her very miserably failed campaign run for presidency then, when she got zero votes in the primaries, didn't even make it to the primaries. She came out then and stated that she was a gun owner.
I own a gun for probably the reason that a lot of people do, for personal safety.
Now you notice they have different approaches. Tim Walz thinks that he's a gun owner because he's a hunter. He thinks the Second Amendment applies to hunting. She says it more along the lines of us, self-protection. It's funny how she can form and frame what she wants to say and the message that she wants to communicate based on when she runs. So every 4 years, I guess we can expect this from Kamala. But I want you to pay particular attention to this, and I think this is why ABC framed everything this way. She said she wasn't intending to take anybody's guns away. Well, she actually is, but I think the way they want to do it, they don't call it taking. They're in favor of two things: banning and a mandatory buyback. Those two things work kind of hand in hand, because both of them make having AR-15s illegal. If a firearm is illegal, then what happens to it? She thinks a mandatory buyback is what it says. Kind of. You're not buying them back, you're buying them. But it's a mandatory buy of your gun, which means they force you to take taxpayer money that you've already paid for. You've spent this money already. They're going to give you some of your money back, probably about $200 or $300 for your $2,000 AR-15. They're going to take it from you, but technically they're buying it from you. So her statement is accurate, because she's not going to just take it. She's going to receive it from you after they give you money for it. So technically they're not taking it. So she's right. That's her thing. And then a ban. How can you have a ban? They talk about, oh, we're going to grandfather it. That's not possible. She talks about so many, however many guns are out there. They estimate, it's funny, their estimations are hilarious, 5 to 10 million AR-15s. Guys, there's got to be 20 million of them out there. There has to be. This has been the top selling firearm for the last 20 years, right? There ain't 5 million of them out there. I probably know 5 million people that have 10 of them.
We want to ban assault weapons. We're not taking anybody's guns away.
So it's mainly a play on words that these people do. They're politicians. Look, this is nothing new. I'm not trying to educate you guys on some new thing that they've discovered, some new plot and ploy that they roll out whenever they're running for office. It's the same old thing. she can officially say, we're not taking anybody's guns, because they're not planning to go to your house and take them because they're buying them. But this is the way it works. This is how politics is. She could stand up there and state that, even though we have all these things that prove otherwise, that she does plan to take them in a different way. A ban requires taking guns. So she may be able to get past her little no one wants to take your guns away by stating the gun buy program, where they hand you money and take the gun from you. But she can't get away from that on a ban, because a ban would require, if they ban everything out there, they will require the removal of those. Now, I think she is thinking she's going to couple her buy program with the ban. We'll pass a ban and we'll offer to buy the guns so they take care of each other. The ban requires taking, but we're not going to take, we're going to buy instead. But we have plenty of video that states her goals, and it's taking guns away.
You do about the millions of specifically assault weapons that are already in circulation. What do you do about those?
Well, there are approximately 5 million, to your point, Craig. We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program. It's got to be smart. We got to do it the right way.
We're not taking anybody's guns away.
Mandatory. Mandatory means you don't have a choice. You do understand that, right? When somebody says, oh, it's a gun buyback program, or gun buyback program, you're going to get your money back. Really? Okay, the federal government never owned my guns to begin with, so they're not buying them back. They're buying them for well below market value. And really what they're doing is they're extorting me. They're giving me bribe money that is far less than market value for something that I have that I bought to defend myself. You can't do that. They cannot take these guns forcibly and give you less than market value. In fact, they can't take the guns, period. There is a Second Amendment. Supreme Court has ruled on that. And the Supreme Court, between Heller, as far as common use goes, and Bruin, this is a lost cause. They cannot do this without packing the courts. So that's what their ultimate goal is, to pack the courts in order to do that. They're not going to get a ratification of this by states, right? They're not going to have a constitutional convention of the states. That's not going to happen. So they have to do this through the Supreme Court and undo Bruin and undo Heller, actually, for common use.
When we win in November, we are finally going to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
We're not taking anybody's guns away.
So you think I'm just doctoring video. You think I'm just cherry picking stuff. And most of this is from very recent, by the way. But you think that I'm taking things out of context. You think that I'm not delivering things truthfully. You think I'm pulling what they pulled last night on television by giving partial truths to cover up the actual lie, right? That's what you think? Well, don't take my word for it. Go to Kamala Harris's own website, where they finally have issues out there. If you go to the page where it's got issues, and they don't call them policy, they call them issues. Ensure safety and justice for all. Roll down there. When I think justice for all, I'm thinking of Metallica album, but nevertheless, unfortunately, they're going to ruin that for me now. Go down to make our communities safer from gun violence and crime. If you read through all the rhetoric and go down to the last paragraph, you'll see, as president, she won't stop fighting so that Americans have the freedom to live safe from gun violence in our schools, communities, and place of worship. She'll ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. It's literally right there in your face on her website. If you don't believe me, go to the Kamala Harris campaign website, read it for yourself, and shut up and quit saying that she has no intention of banning any guns. She literally says it in her own words. I want to say something else. They talk about they want to ensure the right of Americans to live safely and all that kind of blah, blah, blah rhetoric. The only way to ensure that Americans live safely is to allow them to have firearms to protect themselves. You can't ensure anybody else's safety. That's the only way that you ensure the possibility of their safety. Somebody still has to do something. I'm talking about the person. You can ensure their right to own a firearm to protect themselves, but that still doesn't ensure their right to being safe. They still have to do something. So you cannot control safety in this nation. You may as well get off of that. And we all have to stop letting them say that they are somehow going to make anything safer. I don't think any political party can do anything to make things safer. I think that what you do is you allow people to protect themselves. You encourage them to train. It'll work itself out if you do that. I've said it before. Criminals do stupid things, but criminals aren't stupid. Nobody wants to walk around with a hot hunk of lead in their body. And that's if they continue to walk around after they receive that type of therapy. So the best thing all sides can do is to get out of the way, enforce the existing laws that are out there, quit messing with honest law-abiding gun owners, allow them to purchase whatever they're comfortable with to protect themselves and their families and their neighbors and their brothers. Back away and let things happen. Things will correct themselves. You see it all the time. There are literally hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of self-defense cases where people are protecting themselves with firearms every single year, every single day. So it happens on the regular. You start banning guns, you take people's means to protect themselves away from them, and you watch things skyrocket. All you're doing is hurting honest law-abiding Americans when you pass these silly little laws, because there's not one criminal that watched that debate last night that gave two rips about what Kamala or Trump had to say about guns, because they don't care. No laws apply to them. One last thing I want to show, that Kamala Harris actually made a point in a video a couple of years ago that leads me to believe this is why I need to have an AR-15.
We are not sitting around waiting to figure out what the solution looks like. You know, we're not looking for a vaccine. We know what works on this. It includes, let's have an assault weapons ban. You know what an assault weapon is? You know how an assault weapon was designed? It was designed for a specific purpose: to kill a lot of human beings quickly.
I want to make this as clear as I possibly can, and I've said this in previous videos. I'm not looking for a fair fight. I'm not in this world to see when somebody comes to attack me if I have the ability to overpower them and to lessen those chances of me winning, because I want to make it even. If the other guy has 10 rocks in his hand, I want 20. If the other guy has a 30-round magazine, I want 5 30-round magazines. If the other guy has full auto, I want mega full auto. I want a flamethrower. I want a grenade launcher. I'm not looking for a fair fight. I'm too old to learn karate. I'm not trying to fight it out. If you're breaking the law and you're trying to hurt me or my family, you are going to meet whatever means has to be met, and I want it to be to the fullest extent. I'm not in this to break even. I'm not looking for a tie ball game. I want to win so overwhelmingly that people wonder, what did that guy have? That's how I want to win. Not looking for a fair fight. As long as the enemy has something, I want 10 times what they have.
I don't understand the point that you're making.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America. He's